hold up, I am on my way. I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing. Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. Today I have 5 brand new Halloween Dollar Tree DIYs for you, and hopefully you get lots of crafting inspiration. For this DIY, I'm going to use this snack bowl that I got for $3 at Dollar Tree. Now be sure to get it at Dollar Tree and not Dollar General. They have the same exact one there for $6, so that's a good deal. And I got some mums at Walmart. So I'm going to turn this little snack bowl into a planter, an outdoor planter. I do want it to be able to drain, and so it doesn't have any openings on the bottom. So the first thing I did was just take a nail, hammer in some holes here so that my plant can drain in case I overwater it. I want to be able to have some fall mums, and I thought it would be fun to DIY a little school flower pot for them, something that would be really fun for Halloween. Now, getting in between the hands and the skull is going to be a little tricky, so we're definitely going to have to use some spray paint. I use this heirloom white. It's very similar to like a bone color, and just sprayed all over, trying to get underneath the fingers and stuff like that. Now, as you can see, the skull does have detail on it. It has like cracks and stuff like that. And the hands are great too. So we are going to distress this and make it look like an old real skull. It really doesn't look like the same thing when we're done with it. But for that first coat, I definitely used spray paint because I knew there was no way to get inside of that. And there's really no way to take it apart without breaking it. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go over the face with a little bit more antique parchment, like ivory color here, so that I can really kind of mix the colors here on the face. And I want to add a little baking soda to the paint too. So I'm going to add that to my darker color that I'm going to distress with. I mixed a little burnt umber brown with some black and mixed in that baking soda to give it a cool texture. Then I went heavily over the mouth, nose, and eyes, so those will be dark. I definitely want those parts of my skull to be dark. And then lighter everywhere else, just distressing everywhere. I follow that up with just a baby wipe here and just kind of blending it, wiping off the excess, giving it a cool distress. I want it to look old and creepy, and the texture was already there. And the thing is, all of the ones I've seen at Dollar Tree and Dollar General, they're all like bright metallic colors and stuff like that. I wanted just authentic skull look for this. So here on the side, I distressed the hand and I tried to get in between the fingers a little bit too so I could distress in there. That part was a little bit tricky because it's so attached, but there's a little bit of space in between. And so I just tried to distress that the best that I could. I did use a brush to kind of get down in some of those areas too. And the hands like hooked to the little stand that holds this up. And I think this is going to make a perfect planter for fall. You could use this for indoor or outdoor. I think I'm going to use mine for outdoor, but I think it would be really cute either way. And I think that looks pretty good, that level of distress. Let's go over here and do the same thing here on the other side. You can go pretty heavy with your brown paint. I decided to use paint instead of Antique Wax by Waverly. I don't know, I just felt like it would hold up better outside. So hopefully the paint stays on here. I use acrylic paint for outdoor projects all the time, and I've had people comment, like especially on Facebook, saying, "How do you keep your paint on there?" But most plastic items that I paint, the paint lasts for years on my projects, but sometimes they don't. Like on the stackables, like the stackable pumpkins, I had my lighthouse and it blew over and got rained on. I put it out there maybe too soon, but the paint did start to wash off of it. I had to repair that. So you might want to seal your project if you're going to put it outside for sure. Now that I have everything distressed, all 4 sides of it, I'm going to go back in with that original color, that antique parchment, to kind of brighten up the bony areas a little bit more. But of course, leaving the distressed parts. I like the eyes being all dark like that. And I do want to make sure that the teeth are kind of detailed too. I think I wiped off a lot of the distressing. So I tried to distress them a little bit too. And I just kind of, with any distressing, you're going to kind of go back and forth with your colors. Let me add a little bit more of that ivory color everywhere else and blend that in as we go. It's not that light, but it's not really light enough to be a flower pot. So I will weigh this down a little bit with some rocks from the Dollar Tree. And then these mums I got for $1.74 at Walmart, and I even got free delivery. So pretty cool. A lot of times if you order a walmart.com, if you spend like 35, you can get free delivery, and a lot of times I get plants and stuff delivered, which is a really cool service, I think. And these are really pretty and bright for fall. I just added some potting soil on top of my pebbles. The pebbles will help it drain too. And then I just planted it, filling in with the excess potting soil. I think that will make it heavy enough to not blow over since it is made out of plastic. And I think this is such a cute little project. We have a little skull planter using a candy bowl from the Dollar Tree. And again, it was $3 for the bowl at my Dollar Tree. It had a red sticker on it, so I thought it was going to be more than that, but it wasn't. But again, same exact one at Dollar General for $6. So I think it's a really good value. With Dollar Tree's price increases, it can be a little tricky. But isn't that so cool? I love the texture. I think it looks really creepy and cool for Halloween. Hey guys, if you're enjoying today's video, be sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I would really appreciate it if you would hype this video. For this DIY, I picked up one of these solar lanterns from Dollar Tree. They are $5. As you can see, they're really nice size. They're solar, and the cord goes down here to a candle that flickers. And I thought we could take this apart and make it really creepy and cool for Halloween. Now, I know they have some Halloween ones that are more expensive, but I thought we could customize the cheaper one. It's already black, so that's perfect. I just popped off the top of this so I could get to the glass panels inside. It looks like there's these little corner pieces that have everything screwed down, but that's no big deal. I can always just remove the little plastic pieces from the corners so that I can get to the glass. Anytime you can get to the glass is going to be way easier to DIY your project. So I'm just going to take out those little tiny screws and making sure not to lose those. And now I can get the glass panels out. I had a really creepy idea. I wanted this to look like it had like trapped souls in it, like a very spooky kind of Halloween lantern, something that I can put outdoors in my landscaping. So I went ahead and took all of the corners off. You don't really have to be careful which corner piece you take off. They all have a little cutout for the cord. And then I'm going to use tissue paper for the design. Now, I don't think I've ever really printed on tissue paper in my printer, but I thought I would give it a go. I found some white tissue paper from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to need one piece of this. And it's almost the perfect width here for the glass panels. And I don't really want the wrinkle in it, so I'm going to try to keep with that. So I'm just going to cut that down to size, and then my plan is to tape these to regular paper and run these through my printer. Now, I did have a few issues with it, but I was able to make it work pretty well, I think. So I'm going to need 4 of these panels, and I'm going to need them all taped down. Now, if you made it a little wider, it might be easier because I had to really try to get all the way to the edges with the tape because it's almost exactly the size that I need, and I want most of the ink to go on the tissue paper and not on the tape. So what I tried to do was just cut 4 of these little panels and tape them with some masking tape right here in the center. I want it to be flat so it doesn't jam in my printer, but I also want to try to get the whole image on there. I do have a copy of this printable, and what I did is I printed out 2 times one way, and then I printed it out 2 times mirrored so they look different, like reverse, because basically they're all the same face, but you can't really tell. I think it works pretty well like that. Now I ran them through my printer. As you can see, I got a little ink bleeding going on the top of each one of my pages. I don't know if that just picked that up because the tissue paper, would soak up ink so well. But since the top of it's going to be hidden from the lantern, you couldn't see it. So I was able to still use all of these. I just cut them where the tape was to get the tissue paper off. And I have this cool, creepy tissue paper that I can put on the inside of the glass. When it lights up, you'll still be able to see through it because the tissue paper is so thin. So I'm just going to decoupage that to the inside of the glass. I put a very thin coat of Mod Podge all over the glass and carefully lay down my tissue paper right on top. Isn't that image so creepy? And I will share this image And I'll share it as a PDF, I think. That way you can have yours centered on the paper too if you want to line yours up like that and use tissue paper like I used as well. But if you would like a PNG or something like that, just let me know and I'll get that to you. And I am going to do the same thing here for all of the pieces. You can see that I really did have a lot of ink bleeding on some of those, especially some of the later copies. But again, it all was all hidden. So I'm glad that I didn't remake them because you really can't see them. And the black spatter is kind of creepy for Halloween anyway, right? This one had a little bit of tape left on the edge and because the design printed there, but again, you're not going to be able to see the edges either. So you really have a safe space all four sides because it's going to go back inside that lantern. I just glued mine on. Now, I probably should have used outdoor Mod Podge. I don't know what I was thinking when I made this because it seems airtight, but you never know with the Dollar Tree solar lantern. So I might open mine back up and go back over mine with a coat of outdoor Mod Podge just to make sure to protect this because it is still rainy season here in Florida. We get a lot of rain and I don't want to ruin the tissue paper inside because it turned out so creepy and cool. So this is our last one. We're going to Mod Podge that as well. And then we're going to pop these back in the lantern. And I absolutely love how this turned out. It's exactly how I pictured and it's so custom. I think it's cooler than the ones at the Dollar Tree. You just slide the glass back in. There's some little plastic tabs at the bottom that you kind of have to get it into so it'll fit right in there. I'm going to go ahead and do 2 here around the cord so we can do that part first. The little brackets that go in the side, they have a little cutout for the cord so you can slide that in there. And there's also a little curved plastic piece there at the bottom that you have to get it inside of. And then you can just reattach it by making sure you get your screws down in those little holes right there. Let's go ahead and do all 4 panels and all 4 corners, reattaching everything. I was worried, it seemed pretty well built, that I wasn't going to be able to take it apart like this, but it actually worked pretty well. And if you're going to have yours outdoors like me, I probably would go over again the tissue paper with some Mod Podge, maybe some outdoor Mod Podge or some of the dishwasher Mod Podge from the Dollar Tree. But I have them all on there. Everything's reattached. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the candle in there and pop in the top. I want to make sure that I don't like kink the cord in there at all. And I want to make sure that my handle is going the right way like that. And this is how it turned out. Our little haunted souls lantern for Halloween. I think it's really creepy and cool. And I'm going to hang it with one of these plant hangers out in my landscaping. I think it'll look really cool out there. And I think this should be strong enough. So I just picked up one of these. The only thing is I just had to remove the tag from it. It's black. It's perfect. It's got a little hook in it and I can put it down in my landscaping like that to hold it outdoors. But first, let me show you what it looks like indoors. Like during the daylight, this is it completely not lit up. So it's still creepy and cool. You've got that black, you've got that creepy face like screaming from inside like it's trapped in there. And so I think that's really fun. Now let me show you what it looks like outdoors in my landscaping. The candle lights up and it gives it like almost this like orange glow, which is really creepy and cool. And it even flickers. I will show you that here in a minute. I also have it hanging there from my plant hook in my landscaping outdoors. I tried to get a dark picture. We have like the motion lights outside, and so I couldn't get it too dark. But this is what it looks like during the day and creepy at night. This is also what it looks like when I video it. So you can see that creepy candle glow, which makes it even creepier, I think. This Halloween DIY, I'm going to use the stacking skull tree from the Dollar Tree. These are $7. They are nice and large. I wish they were still $5, these stackables, but I only get one of each, so I think I can afford $7. It has 3 pieces. And this was the last stackable Halloween item that I found at the Dollar Tree. I've been looking for this. It's got a cool bat on top, and there are 3 pieces that all snap together. Now, I came up with a really fun way to decorate these. So far, I've only seen people paint them, and I thought we could do better than that. Let's like have some glowing eyes in them. So what I'm using is my heated craft knife. I got this on Amazon. I think I have it listed in my store. It wasn't very expensive. I just went ahead and removed the razor blade from it. And what I'm going to do is poke holes in the eyes. That way I can light the skull tree up from inside and make the eyes glow. I think that's going to be so cool for a Halloween decoration. Now, I did pop off the little top there that held the bat on. It was kind of in the way for this. And what I'm going to do is every other skull. There's tons of skulls on this. So if you're going to do every skull, I think it's going to be way too much, especially when some of them kind of overlap. Every other seemed to work pretty well. Now, you do kind of get a tab in there of the plastic when it melts. And at first I had a little trouble getting to it in the very tip just because it's so small there. But I did, as I went on here, develop a good strategy that worked well. Instead of trying to remove the tab inside, I just melted it onto the inside. I've used a similar technique using this heated craft knife to poke holes in the stackable Christmas tree last year and put Christmas lights in it, and that turned out really well. This one I did not want to add Christmas lights to. I wanted to try to find an easier way to light it because I'm going to be poking lots of holes in this, but I came up with a really good plan. It worked really well. That was me trying to cut off the tabs. Then I realized, you know what? I can just kind of heat those up from the inside and melt the little leftover pieces of plastic, the little tabs, to the inside. And that way you won't be able to see them from the front. And I don't have to worry about removing them either. It just kind of becomes part of the piece. And so that's what I started doing. I would poke 2 holes for a skull, skipping every other one here, and then kind of melting the little tabs there on the inside. So by the time I'm done with the top piece here, I kind of had a good strategy. The skulls on this part are probably the smallest, but that same size craft knife did really well for poking the holes on all of these. This is the middle section. Now, if you're going to use the heat knife like this, just be very careful. As you can see from how well that plastic melts and from the smoke coming out of it, it is extremely hot. So try to hold it somewhere that there's no way that you're going to like slip and burn yourself. I think that could really hurt. And I am just going to start here at the top. I just poke 2 holes for skull eyes, and then I glue it on the inside by melting it to the inside. Now, some of these are like, especially when you get to the bottom section, some of the skulls are sideways, some of them are overlapped, but I was still able to do this really well. And I'm glad I decided to do every other skull because I found each row all the way down had an even number. So I didn't have to worry about spacing or anything like that. Everything worked out really well. Now, I know a lot of people have painted these, and we are going to be painting them, distressing them, and stuff as well, making this look really creepy. It's going to be such a fun decoration to go next to my front door for Halloween. Very creepy and cool. I am not gonna have it like out in the weather because again, poking holes in it like this, you are gonna get water on the inside if you have yours outdoors. So keep that in mind. I'm gonna keep mine closer in my house where I have a little bit of roof over it. So I think it will protect it. But the way we're gonna design this is if I do get water inside of it, I think it's gonna be easy enough to get rid of that too. And we're gonna do a cool little base for it as well. And I am almost done with this one. I'm gonna finish this row off. And you get pretty quick at this by the time you're done. And as you can see, the skulls on this bottom section are even bigger. But just poking that hole like right in the center, you still get that great look. My plan was to be able to put like a really bright light from the Dollar Tree inside one light that's going to illuminate all of these eyes. And I think that's going to be a lot easier. At first, I had thought about like stringing like some purple or green or something lights in there, like some Halloween lights, but really it would be a lot of strings of lights because as you can see, there's so many skulls on this. But if you wanted to, I think it would work. But I wanted to try the probably the easiest way, most cost-effective way, especially since these are $7. And I just keep poking these along. As you can see, there's some that are stacked. You can usually tell until you get down to like the second row from the bottom. There's like a row that doesn't go all the way around, but I still had an even number, and so it still worked. And even if they overlapped each other, I was able to, melt a hole in there pretty easily. When I got to this point, I did have a little bit of plastic kind of dripping off my knife a little bit there. So I just tried to let that harden up. I could pop that right off. But I'm so glad I decided to poke the holes in it because it made the project so much cooler. I mean, I think it would light up a little bit if you didn't have the holes poked out, but for the eyes, but it's definitely going to really illuminate well. with all these eyes. My plan is to distress these. I want to make the skulls look really old, kind of like catacomb vibes, really kind of creepy but fun. And I love decorating for Halloween. I'll have lots more Halloween DIYs coming up for you. I have so many DIYs left over from the last several years on my channel. I told my son that I can probably decorate his house at college too. And I am going to finish this up. I think that looks pretty good. I think I've got them all. I've got all of the tabs glued down and they all look pretty clean. The perfect circle. That craft knife is perfect for this. I don't know how else you could easily poke all those holes in there. I guess you could drill them. I don't know though. I don't know. The plastic's pretty sturdy. You might be able to do that. And so I'm going to mix some brown, some burnt umber acrylic with some black. And I'm just using a sponge and I am going all over the skull very kind of aggressively. I want to get it down in between the cracks in between all of the skulls and stuff like that to make those really dark. And we will come back with like some lighter colors. You could also use like a brown spray paint for this if you wanted for the first coat to be able to get down into the grooves, but the acrylic paint worked pretty well. Once I got it on there, I am taking just a rag, a cloth rag, and just rubbing that to kind of leave the darker colors in the eyes that are still part of it and the little cracks in between, but also distressing all of the skulls as we go to make it look old and creepy. And I think that the cloth worked really well because I don't want to take all of that paint off. That plastic is pretty slick and stuff like that. And the cloth did a really good job of leaving a lot of the paint on there. So that is our first piece. Let's go ahead and do the same with the second. I like these stackable pieces from the Dollar Tree to DIY with. Whenever you can take a large project like this apart to DIY the different sections, it's going to make it a little bit easier. And again, I'm going over this brown and black paint. I just really want a dark brown for those creepy parts and to really give some definition to the skull. I was thinking these could be painted a little bit better instead of just white plastic, especially with that price increase. They could paint these a little bit better, but that's okay. Most of us crafters are going to paint them anyway, I guess. And so I just did one section of this, about half of it. I didn't want the paint to dry up too much before I was able to go over it with the cloth rag. And that rag is just one of the like little hooded baby towels from the Dollar Tree. I try to get lots of crafting supplies from there. And so I cut those down into some rags that are really good for crafting. And so I just went ahead and paint and distressed all of these. You could also use a brush too if you wanted. I just find the little sponge stencil daubers to be the easiest way to paint these items. And right now, I've been ordering those from Amazon, like by the case, the little sponge daubers that you see there. I did add those to my Amazon shop and I really like them. I like them better than the little sponge brushes from the Dollar Tree. Those, I often had them shedding, leaving little black pieces of foam in my paint. And these just seem to work so much better. I really like them. So I just went ahead and rubbed off the excess. I think I have a little bit more distressing on that top piece. I feel like it's a little bit darker than this one. Larger piece, I was kind of going faster, especially when rubbing off the excess paint. But I'm just going to kind of touch it up here and there. And you can always add more distress if you wanted to. So I just went over mine to give it one more thin coat. And then this time I kind of blotted it. Instead of like rubbing it, I blotted it with that rag. And that left more of the color on there to give this really creepy effect to lage it. And I think that looks way better. So one more piece. This is our largest piece. We're going to go ahead and do the same thing here. I'm also going to use that same brown and black mixed together to distress the bottom of it. If you wanted a little texture on yours, you could add some baking soda to your paint too. I didn't do that on this one, but I think that will look really creepy too. It would give it a textured skull look. I was just really wanting to bring out all of the details. As you can see, they have like little creepy mouths. They're kind of cool. And that dark paint gets down into those. It also gets down into the eyes and the nose and stuff like that. It also kind of distresses around the rings of all of the pieces that I had cut out the eyes. So for the bottom, I did about a third at a time here because again, I don't want my paint to dry before I have a chance to kind of go over it. But this time, instead of kind of like rubbing off the excess paint, I'm trying to blot it a little bit to make sure more of the paint stays on there. I don't want to rub it all off. And one thing about using the sponge is you can really kind of get it down into those little grooves in between the different skulls and stuff like that, which is really where I wanted that dark color. We are going to go over it with some more ivory color to bring out that bone color too, but I definitely wanted a high level of distress on this one, and it did turn out really creepy. I was going for creepy on today's DIYs. A couple of them probably turned out kind of cute too, because I kind of like creepy and cute. I was asking you guys on Facebook the other day if you guys like spooky or cute for Halloween, and you guys are pretty mixed on it too. I really like both. My son gets a big kick out of the spooky stuff for sure, but I like it too. So we've got all of the distressing done on all three pieces of our skull tree. And now we can go in and, bring back some of that bony color. Again, I'm using like that antique parchment acrylic color, and I am just going to sponge that on. I don't want to get it down into the cracks or the eyes or anything like that. Just a very light sponge coat all over like that. And then I just kind of blotted that a little bit just to make sure I didn't have any excess paint, but I don't really want to distress it too much there for the bony parts. I really want a lot of detail there in between the pieces. And I think that looks pretty good. We are going to do this same thing here. And I am going to go in and seal this project because I want to make sure that the paint stays on this. Again, I did have some issues with some paint slipping on the plastic pumpkins from the Dollar Tree being out in the rain. So I want to make this as weatherproof as possible to be outside. So I just went ahead and painted all of those skulls, ivory as well, blotting them too so they're not too perfect. And you can always go back and add a little bit more distressing here and there if you need to, if you find that you add a little bit too much white. But I found that just kind of rubbing that sponge over, it really only paints the top parts of the skull. And I'm also going to distress the bottom of it there as well. And this was a really fun project to craft. I was looking for a creative way to do this besides just painting it. And the fact that we are going to light this up and all of those creepy skull eyes are going to glow. So some of them will be dead, some of them will be alive. I think that's going to be a fun, creepy combo. Again, I just painted all of those and blotted those. And then the next step is I'm going to let this paint set up and dry. And then we're also going to go in and seal this item. Now this came with a little plastic bat to be a tree topper, and it's pretty cute. So I'm going to go ahead and use that, but I wanted to paint mine black. So I just went over mine with a little sponge stencil dauber and some black acrylic paint. And I just did one coat all over both sides of the bat, and I think that'll look really cute at the top. If you wanted to replace it with like a larger bat or something like that, or even a crow, it would be cute too. But I kind of liked it. I liked the way, and I like the fact that it screws onto the very top. Now for the base, this is what we're going to light it up with, one of the battery operated lights from the Dollar Tree. And these take 3 AA batteries. They have a little switch on them. You can turn them on and off. And as you can see, the battery case kind of screws onto this case here below. And I can put that on the charger and light up the tree. So I thought, let's try it out. I got like one of the little wood chargers from the Dollar Tree. And I went ahead and added the light and popped all of my skull tree on there. And then I took it to a dark room to see if it was light enough to light up every eye. And it really was. So I think that's going to work out well. I also want to decorate the outside of the charger with some Spanish moss. I thought that would be really creepy. This is some Spanish moss. I've been having to get my Spanish moss at Walmart lately. I haven't been able to find it at Dollar Tree. But I'm just going to hot glue that here on the edges. Nothing crazy. It doesn't really matter either, like if you use like a black charger, a wood one. I thought the wood would look kind of creepy and cool and go with that finish that we had there on the skulls. And I'm going to add a few creepy items to it as well, some spiders and bones, things that you would kind of find in the catacombs with a big skull pile like this. So I just went all the way around with a little Spanish moss, leaving the center open, which is just the perfect size for the tree. And then I'm going to attach the light. Since I can still change the batteries, even if this is screwed on, I can just glue that part on there so they won't, slide around when I move it around. And then we're going to use Dollar Tree erasers for the spiders. Aren't these creepy and cool? The eyeballs are pretty cool in there too. I like to use the erasers for miniatures when I'm crafting with Dollar Tree. And I'm just gonna hot glue these little spider erasers. I'm gonna do like one on each side, and I think they look nice and creepy. Finding smaller spiders like this at Dollar Tree can be challenging, so erasers are a great idea. And then I'm gonna use some of the Dollar Tree little plastic bones here. I thought I would do like maybe 5 of them, but I don't like the color they're painted. I really need them to be a similar color to what we did before. So I took some antique parchment and a little bit of that burnt umber brown and kind of mixed them together as I go. Just painting these, and I don't know why they paint them that yellow color like that from the Dollar Tree. I always seem to be painting these when I'm using these for a Halloween project. But this way they'll look older and more like bones and match our skulls better. So that's a fun thing you could add. If you had like any other kind of like black, creepy little snakes or stuff like that, or even mice, that would be creepy down here too. And the Spanish moss, I think, gives it a cool effect too. So I just went ahead and painted both sides. I don't want any of that yellow color coming through once I attach those. And then I just kind of blotted mine with a paper towel. Now that we have those distressed, we can just add these. I'm just going to glue the end of the bones here down just to try to keep them in place. I mean, nothing too permanent. But I think this is going to be a nice way I can just lift the tree up. I can turn the switch on to be able to turn it on and off. If you had something with a timer, that would be even better. But Dollar Tree items, you usually can't find anything with a timer, and at least inexpensive. So I'm going to just use that $1.25 light. And I just put the little plastic screw back in there so that we can screw the little bat that we painted back on the top of our skull tree. Now that we have it all DIY'd, and then we're gonna seal it. I did not want a gloss. I want that creepy matte finish, so I'm using this, a matte, and this is gonna make it waterproof. It's gonna make it UV resistant, and so hopefully it will make it, hold up outside better. And so I just went ahead and sealed one part at a time. I just did one coat. Hopefully that's going to be enough. I did make sure to try to get everywhere on that and a good coat on each piece. And then I'm going to let those pieces dry. We can pop this all together. And it just turned out so cool. I was really happy with it. It's probably one of my favorite stackable DIYs that I've done since I did the Christmas tree one. I thought that was really fun too. And I got these dried. Now we can go ahead and put this together. So I have the base, I have the bottom of the tree. We can pop on the second part. These popped on really well. It's so tall that my crafting station is not quite that tall. So I'm trying to pop it all on there and show you. But this is how it turned out. Our little skull tree from the Dollar Tree. And as you can see, with all that painting and distressing, it looks even cool during the day. This is it lit up like in my home, like during the daytime. You could definitely use this as an indoor DIY if you have room for it. It's tall enough that you could put it on the floor even, or it can make a big statement piece as well. Let me show you what this looks like at night outdoor on my front porch. Isn't this so creepy and cool how all of those eyes glow? I think this is such a fun indoor or outdoor sculpture DIY. I'm definitely going to use mine outdoor here in my front porch area. I just think it is really fun. So again, this is what it looks like during the day, and this is what it looks like at night. So fun and festive for Halloween. For this DIY, I went and got a stick that had fallen in my yard from a neighbor's tree, and I want to try to make a spooky tree. I wanted to make a fun display that's kind of large for my entryway, and I wanted it to look like a black, creepy tree. I'm going to use the branches, but it was a little too big for my entryway, so what I did was I cut it down into 2 pieces, and we're going to kind of put it back together into one tree. But this has lots of branches on it, and I wanted to do a fun creepy tree and hang some ghosts from it. I think that'd be really fun. So the first thing I'm going to do is spray paint it. I'm using this Ultra Matte Black spray paint by Rust-Oleum. And I just try to make sure to clean these up pretty well. Any excess branches that are going to get in the way, I just tried to trim them down a little bit, but otherwise I didn't really need to do much to prepare it. I did try to get like a stick that didn't have a lot of the lichens like growing on it. It does have maybe some, but I think it'll be okay. And I'm just going to spray paint it. I could spray paint about half at a time here in a box on my crafting station. And my crafting station is in my garage, so I am able to spray paint out there easily, which I like because I find spray painting outdoors in Florida, I always have an insect that tries to come and land on my fresh spray paint. Drives me crazy. And I am going to paint this one as well. And such a quick, easy, free way to get like a stick for a tree like this, just to get one from your yard, and then just add a little bit of spray paint to it. I'm going to set these aside and let those dry, and we can start working on the flower pot. This is the one I'm going to use, little flower pot from Dollar General. These like spring, summer items are on sale at 50% off right now at my Dollar General. So these are only 50 cents, so great deal. Now, I was hoping it was like the galvanized metal pots from Dollar Tree where you can use a little bit of the fingernail polish remover to remove the ink on there. And even with a lot of elbow grease, this was not moving. So I was like, okay, it's not going to be able to be metal. So my original plan, I am not going to be able to easily do because this is not coming off with the fingernail polish remover. So I'll do a plan B and we'll just paint it instead. I was going to use a little ghost sticker that I thought would be really cute, but we'll figure out something else to decorate this pot. I decided to use just black acrylic, and I'm just going to sponge that all over the pot. And it did turn out really creepy and cool and was exactly what I was going for with this. I thought maybe if I painted the flower pot black, it would be like too much black because the tree is black and everything, but it actually worked out pretty well. I tried not to do like a lot of orange. I really prefer to do like a black and white color scheme for my Halloween when I'm not doing like the coastal Halloween DIYs. Those always have a little bit of blue in there, but I'm not crazy about orange for Halloween. I really like black and white though. So I'm going to go over this with a second coat because you could still see a lot of the metal coming through, and you could also see the words a little bit coming through. So definitely needed 2 coats of black to cover this up. But for 50 cents, I think this was a really good value. The little foam circles from the Dollar Tree fit perfectly into these flower pots as well. So be sure to check out your Dollar General. I was able to get a lot of like fairy garden items, the little wood kindling pieces we use for crafting, wood stakes, flower pots, lots of stuff that you can still use for crafting that aren't necessarily outdated. Even some lights I can use from Christmas I was able to find. And now it's time to decorate it. I just put some Mod Podge right here on the front of the flower pot. And I'm just going to use a window decal, something that I can put over the black color, but it'll show up well. I'm going to use this little pumpkin one here that says Happy Halloween. It's like glittery. It's got bats on it. I thought that was pretty cute. And it's not too much color. And it kind of brightens up that black pot a little bit too. So I just glue that on. I do like the orange glitter, but anytime I add a window decal, I do like to try to seal it from the top too, just to kind of get rid of that plastic glossy feel of the window decal. So once I got it on there, I just went over everything with a coat of Mod Podge, and I don't really want you to be able to see where like the matte Mod Podge starts and stops. So I'm also going to just go ahead and seal the entire pot with this. This DIY you could use for your entryway, indoor or outdoor, I think. I'm going to use mine indoor, but I think it would work both ways for sure. And I'm actually thinking about doing a larger version for outdoors because there was another branch that had fallen in my yard that was even bigger. So might have to think big for the next one. But I think that looks pretty good. These are the little foam circles from the Dollar Tree that I was talking about that fit perfectly in this. And I also want to weigh it down with some Dollar Tree stones so that it is not top heavy. I don't want it tipping over. And then I just add the foam piece on top. Now the foam is really green and it goes almost to the top. I don't want you to be able to see that underneath the tree and the moss and stuff we're going to add to it. So I decided to paint mine black with some acrylic, trying to really cover up and mask that green color. And I'm glad I did because in the end you kind of see in there a little bit. You don't want to see that bright green color. So that was pretty easy to do. I just made sure to use enough where I kind of got down into the holes of the foam. Now, these are what we're going to hang from the branches. These are from Dollar General. You get 3 of these hanging together like that for only $1. So you can still find dollar items at Dollar General. So good to know. These are really cute. They're very similar to the white wood ghosts from the Dollar Tree, but these are already painted. So that saves me a step. They do have holes in the bottom of them because they are all hanging together like that. I'm just going to fill mine in with a little bit of spackle and then kind of wipe off the excess. I know you'll still be able to see the hole in them a little bit, but I don't really care. I think they're super cute as is, and I don't really want to have to repaint them or anything because they're already white. And I think I'll use like a total of 5. I like to use odd numbers instead of using the 6 and hang those from the different branches. I'm just going to kind of make them into little ornaments by taking some Dollar Tree twine, stringing that through, and knotting that. I'm going to do about like the same length that was on the top one like that, but I'm going to do that for all the pieces. Since they were like hanging together, I have to do them separately like that, but pretty easy to do. If you're going to do yours outside, I would recommend maybe tying them to the branch instead of just hanging them. Since mine's going to be indoors, I think I can just hang them. It'll be fine. And I also want all my twine to be the same, so I went ahead and replaced that one. And a total of 5, so 2 of those little ghost arrangements from the Dollar General. And I can just kind of hang them on the branches like that. So it'll look like a creepy haunted tree with little ghosts hanging on it. Other items you could use like little fabric DIY ghosts if you wanted. You could use like the little wood ghosts from the Dollar Tree. I think those would be really cute. Lots of fun options. You could also do bats if you wanted. I thought about that for a creepy tree, but I really like the idea of ghosts. So I have my 2 branches. I'm just going to kind of see if this is going to be enough of the ghosts, and I think that's going to work out well. I do need to poke some holes here in that foam to be able to put the branches down in there easily. I just use like the wood dowel on the end of a paintbrush to poke a nice size hole in there where I can then put the branch in there easily like this. And I do want this to look like a creepy tree. So once I get the branches in there, I'm going to try to make the base of it look like a tree, to make it look like it splits like a tree at the top. But for the first part here, I just need to do the individual branches. So again, I just poked a hole through there and added my other branch. I'm going to glue those in place too with a little bit of hot glue. And then I'm also going to cover the foam down there with a little bit of Spanish moss. But again, I do want this to look like a tree down here. So let me show you how I went about that process. I just glued everything in place, and to kind of keep them close together like that and strong, I'm going to use a little bit of structure underneath my tree. I'm going to be using Model Magic to carve out the tree, but I decided that duct tape would work really well. I'm using some black duct tape, and I'm going to use that to just hold my branches together. This is going to give me the structure down here, and it's going to make the Model Magic not to have to do all of the work to keep this all together. So I went around it a couple of times with one piece, and then I went in here with another, kind of doubling that up. I don't want my tree to be too tall, but I definitely want it to be visible here from the bottom. And so I wrapped it with a little bit more duct tape. And that seemed to work pretty well. My branches definitely want to stay in place. And then this is the Model Magic we're going to use. You can get this at Dollar Tree or Dollar General. This is just the white one, and you can paint it, so it doesn't really matter what color you get. I'm going to need 2 packages. This is considered a toy, I think, at Dollar Tree, so it's probably $1.50 now. I've always been able to get it for $1 at Dollar General, but when I bought it there the other day, I did notice they did raise the price to $1.25, but still inexpensive. I just wrapped that around like that, just kind of molding that there for the base of my tree, but it's not quite tall enough, so I definitely need to add more to it. So this is my second package. And the great thing about this, it's going to dry to like a hard foam. But you can paint it while it's still wet and stuff like this, and you can even texturize it and stuff like that too. It's very consistent to like almost like a Play-Doh material. So I wrapped around my second package there, making my tree a little bit taller. I'm also going to kind of push it down there in between the two branches to kind of make it look like it like kind of split right there at the top. And I'm also going to texturize this a little bit before we paint it. And I think that that looks pretty good. That's kind of the look I was going for. At first, I just took a popsicle stick and I kind of took that around, dragging that through. I was trying to give like the appearance of an old, weathered, dead tree a little bit, but I found that it needed a little bit more. So then I went in there with like a cricket weeder and I just kind of scratched it all over to give it that texture of a tree. Now that I have it textured, I can go ahead and paint it. I'm just using some black acrylic paint and I went all over. Now, I did notice that when this dried the next day, you could see a little bit of the white in the cracks, which I kind of liked because it kind of made the tree look old and dead and distressed, which was the look I was going for in the first place. So I just went ahead and painted one side and we're going to go back in with another. And I know I have a lot of black there with the black pot, the black foam, the black tree, but we are going to add some Spanish moss to it. So that is going to break up all of that black a little bit. But I got a pretty seamless transition there up into my branches. And then, of course, the Spanish moss, I just take a little and put it all over here at the bottom. I didn't glue it in or anything. If I were going to put that outside, I might glue that in to make sure it stays in place. But I think that's going to work really well for my entryway. And let me show you how it turned out. It's really nice and tall, as you can see. And we have all of our cute little ghosts hanging in our black haunted tree. If you wanted to go over it with some black glitter as well, I think that'd be really cute. But I kind of like the matte finish of it. It really kind of goes with my decor there in my entryway. And this is how it turned out. Our little spooky tree. I think it's really fun. For this DIY, I'm going to make a fun spider wreath. I picked up this black fur from the Dollar Tree and one of the wreath rings and a spider web placemat. I thought we could put all these pieces together and make a really easy, fun wreath. Now, the wreath form that I picked up was the 15-inch wreath form, and the placemat was 16 inches, so I think that will work well. But first, I want to cover the entire thing with the black craft fur. Now, it is a little too wide as is. I kind of need it to be in strips to be able to wrap the wreath form really well to get that rounded shape. So what I'm going to do is cut mine into thirds, just kind of estimating. And I have 3 packages of black craft fur, and that was exactly how much I needed to cover this wreath form. So I got lucky there. And you can wrap it around 2 times like that. I want my unfinished edges, of course, on the bottom. So I just start here and kind of at an angle, glue down that corner to itself and wrap that around twice. And then I can glue this piece down. I did trim off the corners to make sure that you can't see any of that from the front. And I just glued that down. I was thinking a black furry spider would be really creepy. They do have the brown craft fur as well. It's a little bit lighter though. I don't know if that would be as creepy for a spider, but this would also work really well if you wanted to do like a black cat wreath. I was thinking about that as I was making it too. It's a perfect like black cat fur. If you wanted to add some ears to it, that would be really cute too. So I just start and stop there on the back, right where I ended with my next piece. Wrap it around 2 times and then glue it to the back. Again, making sure that you can't see any of that from the front. And it does shed a little bit since I did cut the fur like that. As you can see, I have some little fluffy pieces, but it was working really well to do the strips like this. So I'm going to do that for the rest of them as well. If you were going to add it all in one piece, I guess you could, but I think you might waste a lot of the fur craft material. And this 3 pieces of this craft fur to cover this large of a wreath form, I think worked out really well material wise. As you can see, I'm overlapping it slightly since it is fur. It does blend pretty well. It's not completely seamless, but it's pretty good. But I think it's perfect for a fuzzy wreath. I'm so glad that they have this craft fur at the Dollar Tree now. I was able to get it in like a brownish color that I used to make like my fall deer DIY. I've gotten it in light blue. I've gotten it in lavender, but black is perfect for Halloween. And I just keep wrapping that around. I ended up using every single piece of craft fur that I had there from all 3 pieces. And it was just the perfect amount. I don't know what I would have done if I would have got over here and not had enough. But I was lucky to have enough. So that is going to cover the entire thing. I do want to add that spider web to the back of it, and I've got some other fun ideas. I was thinking like I wanted this to be like fur and glitter, something kind of glamorous but spooky for Halloween. Now, this is the placemat from the Dollar Tree. I was trying to decide if I liked like the matte black on the back of it or if I like the glossy side of it on top. And I think I like the glossy side of it on top because we're going to have some sparkles in this DIY. So I'm going to add that to the back of it like that, I think. So let's go ahead and flip it over. My placemat is a little bit larger than my wreath. So before I attached it, I just went around and kind of trimmed it down to size so you won't be able to see any of the spider web from the front. They do have a larger spider web placemat this year. I don't know if they have both sizes or not of the spider web, but there's other options too. And you could even make your own spider web back here if you wanted. I just went ahead and took some twine here and made a very simple hanger that I can attach here. I'm just going to knot that. I'm going to glue that onto my craft fur and kind of sandwich that in between the spider web and my craft fur. I'm just going to glue the outer part of the web down like this here on the back. And it doesn't have to look too good back here because you're not going to be able to see it. But I want to make sure that this really stays attached. And I just glue that all the way around. Now this kind of glues it onto the very, very back of the wreath form. And so once I got it all glued on like that, I did notice that it was kind of sitting a little bit further back on the wreath form than I would like. I would like it to come forward a little bit. So I will show you how I did that. And I also kind of reinforced the hanger on there. So this is what I'm talking about. See how it's just like kind of sitting on the back? I want it to be really part of the wreath form. So I want it to kind of take on the same shape that the wreath form has. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to glue a second layer. So I just went around here on the inner layer, added more hot glue, and just using my little finger protectors there from the Dollar Tree, just kind of spread that out to make sure that that part was glued down as well. So it kind of took on the shape of the wreath form and it's not all the way to the back like it was before. So let me show you, see how that's a little bit more concave now. It's more part of the wreath. And then it already has a spider on there, but I wanted something more 3D and I wanted something glitter. So I picked up this big plastic glitter spider at Dollar Tree and I'm just going to add it on top of where the spider already is. I'm just going to hot glue this on. It's going to make the spider like 3D pop out. I think it's just going to look way better. I added some hot glue to its abdomen and to its like little creepy spider legs. And I glued that onto the placemat like that. As you can see, it's a pretty large spider because it fills up almost the entire wreath. And I think it's attached pretty good. I do have one little part here, the head. I can kind of glue that down a little bit too to make sure that stays on there. And then to keep with the black glitter theme, I picked up some of these little black glitter Halloween bows from the Dollar Tree. Well, they're kind of like sequenced and they have the little skulls on there. I thought these would be really creepy. I have a lot of fur going on and I don't want to add a lot of like flowers and stuff to this one, so I think I'll decorate it with the bows. I was thinking one at first and then I was like, you know what? The more the better on this. I think I can go ahead and use all three of these little sequin bows on here and it's going to add to that like sparkle and fur feel that I had for this. And so I'm going to do one at the very top. They do have wire hangers on there, but they're not large enough to go around this wreath form. So I just went ahead and removed the wire. And I'm just going to hot glue it onto that fur. I think that will work. The fur will really kind of pick up to that. I didn't realize there was a bread tie on the back, so I did trim that off as well. And added my little glitter skull bow. And I didn't even have to make the bow. So really fun and easy. I think these are really creepy. I've used these before because I love the little skulls on there. It's a great way to get like a little miniature skull for other DIYs, but I was glad I was able to use the bows. And I'm going to glue one here on each corner at the bottom. And I think that looks really cute. That way I don't have a lot of black fur without a lot of stuff on it. I didn't want it to be too plain. But I definitely got the look I was going for this wreath. I think it's really fun. The glitter, the fur, it just looks so fancy for Halloween. And it looks great if you have a white door. My doors are white, so it really, pops on that. If I did not have a white door, I might have painted the spider web white if you had like a color door or something like that. But since I had a white door, I wanted everything to be black, and I'm glad I did because I think it looks really good on a white door for Halloween. Isn't that so cute? Okay, guys, it's time for the final reveal. I hope you got lots of crafting inspiration today for Halloween. Please let me know which DIY was your favorite down in the comments below, or just come say hello. I love reading your comments. This is also a QR code if you would like to buy me a coffee. I hope you enjoy the final reveal. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of my video. Anytime you watch the whole video, that's going to help my YouTube video do so much better. And I want to give a huge thank you to all of my YouTube members. Thank you to Melinda Elizabeth, Jamie Job, Janae Farrington, Pamelia Wren, Donna Schreiner, I Am Mojo Jojo, Maren Christensen, Adrian Brolt, Debbie Middleton, Donna Tanner, Kim Rogers, Pal Puppy Life, Renee Albanese, Mindy Hupp, Jenny and Debbie Austin. I really appreciate your membership. If you would like to become a Crafty Beach member, all you have to do is hit the join button on your phone or your computer. Next to today's video, you're going to get early ad-free access to my content here on YouTube, a badge next to your name, and a shout out in every video. And you're free to cancel at any time. We would also love to see your DIYs. Be sure to share them with us in our private Facebook group linked in the description of today's video. And again, if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to hype this video. That will help it get to more YouTube watchers as well. Would you like even more Halloween crafting inspiration? Be sure to check out one of these Halloween DIY videos right here. And until next time, happy crafting for Halloween.